What's up, guys? Shout out to all of you. So, I've collaborated with the House of Hopped, and we've written a book called Musical Biography, and we're actually going to be presenting to you previews of the chapters. All right, but ideally, we want you guys to purchase the book. So, these previews are just like a preview to the actual book. You know, look out for the ebook in the link below. Support the channel, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys soon.
I have this theory that we are all operating on different, but yet similar frequencies. Outside of our cultural norms and the things that are unique to us, and also those things that we all have in common. Specifically, within different demographics and line of work. Remember that we all have a limited or perhaps a handful of things that we are all good at or can make an occupation out of. It's probably not possible for one person to know all there is to know about every field of work that exists and to have the capacity to do it all. Perhaps a handful of things that we are all good at or can make an occupation out of. It's probably not possible for one person alone to be an electrician, a carpenter, a scientist, a professional baseball player, an astronomer, a geologist, and a doctor all in one. Not required, but as the many more other occupations there are available to mankind, at very least one may have a general knowledge of what each occupation there are, as everyone specifically have to choose and be responsible for their own calling, and the ability to master their own specific niche of expertise. But no one can do it all. This is why society as a whole works together, and depending on who we meet we often tend to impress others. And that is just how it is. As far as frequencies and mind chemistry, I believe that we also form this invisible wavelength that is connecting each of us. As there are different wavelengths connecting us all where through our hobbies, likes and dislikes. And the more specifically within our line or work we do often subconsciously communicate, transfer ideas, mentally teleporting, picking up and releasing ideas on how to create, expand, or improve a product. Or just simply to receive and release ideas into the ethers as we are ever so evolving. Like for an example, have you ever been in a conversation with 3 or more people on a topic, which means that ones are all on the same wavelength, but a statement is made and the 2 other individuals respond immediately with identical responses? Okay. The comedian points at his own eyes with his index and middle finger and points back to his co-star and says, "Me and you are right here," meaning to say that we are both on the same page. The co-star or partner responds, having more of a serious role grin, but knows perhaps his partner could probably be right. In music, when copyright is infringed, it is usually due to an unapproved sample, an unapproved composition by a producer, or just simply plagiarism on a literary work or lyrics. Perhaps, yes. Sometimes these events were accidental when one is just in the flow of creativity. But on what grounds? Maybe a newer artist is eager to release a song that requires a sample from a previous older work by another artist. Or perhaps voice recording or composition from a producer. It technically becomes illegal, at least according to some copyright laws depending on the circumstances, specifically if money is being generated, being that the work was not approved or registered. As this could turn out very expensive for the newer artist, even perhaps if the song becomes a mega hit. Now this here is very common amongst our musical peers, as you have probably heard a few stories yourself. But let's talk more of, let's say, energetic copyright. This may not be illegal. But rather, let's call it spiritual synchronicities or creative synergy. As these ties back into the topic of frequencies, wavelength, and mind chemistry. Perhaps you may have already gotten the idea I am getting across, but let's present an illustration. There is a movie called Secret Window which within the main character is played by actor Johnny Depp. And not to give the entire movie away. But this guy is an author, and he experiences this strange phenomenon, where he writes day and night on a novel, only to find out that he had completely written the complete work of someone else, even word for word. There are many artists today who it seems they copy flows, or even replicate it seems a similar word play or even melodies that sounds very much alike. How come, you may ask? I personally have experienced mind chemistry or even telepathy wavelength when writing music. On 2 occasions from 2 different artists, a song was released, of which I was writing a song of a similar theme. I discontinued my version, though I felt my song had possibilities of also being a hit song. But I thought to myself, if I was to still release my version, wouldn't it be awkward to an extent? Maybe just my ego, or perhaps simply just competition. I mean, especially if I was to release this song within the same week span. As this is all around us, and as a philosopher once said, no thought is original perhaps. But I mean, there aren't hundreds of songs out there anyway, with similar names and themes. Did I not prove my point? Perhaps we may just work with what we have and take what we can receive, adjust accordingly, and adapt with all that comes with it. As we discuss more about creativity in the next chapter. For a side note, according to science and research, there is a lot of scientific evidence that suggests that our thoughts and emotions affect the frequencies emitted by our brain. These frequencies can be measured with an electroencephalograph. The different brain waves are associated with different states of consciousness. For example, beta waves are associated with alertness and concentration, while alpha waves are associated with relaxation. How do frequencies affect mind chemistry? It is thought that different frequencies can influence the release of neurotransmitters in the brain. Neurotransmitters are chemicals that help to transmit signals between neurons. They are involved in many different functions, such as mood, memory, and sleep. Some research has shown that certain frequencies can increase the levels of serotonin and dopamine in the brain, which can have a positive effect on mood and energy levels.